The void stares back. The credits are rolling, the mics are recording. Gaze into the void with your hosts, Josh and Joey, as they discuss thoughts and questions surrounding visual, written, and interactive media steeped in cosmic horror.
Welcome to episode whatever.
Of The Void Stares Back.
Of The Void Stares, episode insert number. I'm Joey.
I'm Josh.
And we just watched episode 7 of True Detective.
Season 1.
I forget that that's important qualifier.
Yeah.
Episode 7, season 1, and it was pretty. That was chocked full of stuff.
Yep, it sure was.
It reminded me of episode 3.
Yeah.
3. Was it 3?
I think so.
3.
Yeah.
3 had a lot of. 3 was the diary one, I think, right? Yeah. 3 had a lot of stuff. This is the pace I wanted the whole show to be.
Yeah.
Right? Just like I didn't feel that hour pass.
Yeah. No.
You know, I was like, I was in it.
Yeah.
And there weren't any. There was no downtime in this episode.
No. Yeah. I just went from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. Yeah.
Because like, the True Detective element of the show is like, we're detectives, and then like there's something crazier going on.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Or like something, you know, a bigger scope. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit conspiracy theorist. Or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then the first 6 episodes spent all of its time not doing that.
Right.
For the entirety.
Yeah.
Took breaks. Took filler, quote-unquote, filler episodes. But this one was...
Yeah.
This is what I wanted the whole show to be. But then also, you still get those little moments where you're like, I'm learning about these characters and whatever they're about and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because like I talked about and like praise for the show and shows like it or movies and just media like it where they don't handhold you.
Right.
You know, they're just like, this is the universe and these are the characters and their experience in this this world. And you'll figure the details out that are important because they'll be obvious through our skill in creating, you know, crafting a story.
Yeah, building that film. World around it. And,
visually and narratively and
that's one of the things.
through the
like,
acting.
You hear me praise like Mad Max Fury Road
right.
for that a lot. That's one of the best things about it.
Doesn't stop at any moment to go, and the world blew up because people were, you know, it's just like, it's just guys just in this desert fighting for their lives.
And you see all the little details as the movie goes on. You're like, okay, well, that means this, and that makes sense.
Right.
And there's a reason they do that. And
it's like Bloodborne. We talk about Bloodborne a lot on this show.
Yeah.
But it's, there's a reason.
Yeah.
But it's like crafting the narrative that you want, but then if you're interested or you have an eye for it, there's something below it.
Yeah.
You know, the iceberg.
Yeah.
You get the story, but then if you want to really dig deep, there's a lot of content below the surface.
Yeah.
And this show isn't that, statistically speaking, but it has episodes where it is that. And that's where it really shines. And not that the episodes that don't have it aren't good, they're just not as deep.
Right. Yeah.
And they're like, I would rather this have been the first episode as far as like the depth of character that...
Sure.
Both of the main characters are now fully developed. They're done developing these characters. They're about to go through some cool adventures. You know, and that's exciting. I don't want the preamble.
Sure.
I don't want to watch Batman's parents get shot in an alley 27 times before I get to this cool...
Yeah.
You know, I get it. I don't care why they're troubled. I don't care, you know. I feel like a lot of the setup that they did isn't that consequential yet. I mean, maybe it'll pay off in the final episode. I doubt it. You know, I think it's all just there to really cement your idea of what these characters would do, can do. Because, like, there's a whole moment. All right, we're entering spoiler territory now. Yeah. Go watch the episode.
Yeah, go watch it.
Because we're going to talk a lot about it. But when he shows him the VHS in the locker or whatever.
Yeah. He has a safe.
Storage.
Oh, in the storage unit.
Storage unit.
Yeah.
And you watch him freak out about whatever they're doing, because they don't show it's off camera, whatever they're doing to the little girl, basically. And you know he would freak out like that because of all this nonsense setup that they did about him like struggling with his relationship with his daughters and just being like a guy who's like all of the trauma they set up is about children for him.
Yeah.
He quits the force because of a microwaved child.
Yeah.
That some drug addict
Yeah.
thought was a good idea. And it's all child related. I didn't need to watch any of the rest of the series
to know
because I saw the microwave scene in this episode. That is enough.
Yeah.
To make me go, oh, sure, he would probably not like that, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
well, even like they give you the scenes where like he visits his ex-wife.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, okay, the girls are doing good. Like, so, all right, we established he's a father.
Yeah.
Had a relationship that failed.
Right.
But still cares about his girls and their well-being.
Yeah, she even mentions in passing in that conversation how long it's been since he's seen her.
Yes.
Like all these little details.
Yeah. They
that
give you
just
enough.
negate like 3 episodes worth of content.
Yeah.
If you were just like what I would have done if I
Yeah.
edited the show, which I, and the length of the show wasn't important.
Sure.
I eliminate most of the filler, and then all the stuff that we watched in episodes 1 through, what is it, 6? Mm-hmm. Would be flashbacks after this. This was a great place to start.
Yeah.
Maybe you start with the scene, like some kind of cut of the interviews that he walks out of, because that's not even like I would love the shot of me not knowing why.
Yeah, the opening shot of them at the bar, like, why are we here? You don't
the
look
shot,
good.
the final shot of the 6th episode to be the very opening shot of the show, where he's following him in the car and he's honking, and then there's just like, you're like, why does all this mean anything?
Yeah, we should talk. Yeah.
Yeah, and like there's interesting shots and there's a broken headlight, and then that pays off later instead of it being like, haha, we fought.
Yeah.
That would have been so good.
Yeah. Sure.
That's the way I want the show to string me along.
Yeah.
Like, this is trying to be 2 types of things. It's trying to be the normal detective show, and it's also trying to be the Lovecraftian mystery.
Yeah.
And it does both great, but you can't squish those together very nicely.
Yeah.
They have to be contrasted like they have been in the show, because being a detective is about knowing and following up and having all these details.
Right.
And then getting to dead ends and going, okay, what else can we look up?
Yeah.
Lovecraftian is staring at a wall full of symbols in a storage locker going, this means something. This is important. I don't know what it means yet, but
But I mean, that is also pretty true. Like, the detective part of this is also a big reason why a lot of the dread comes along with Lovecraft, like why he wrote the way he did, because you have these main characters that are fact driven, they are logic driven, their whole lives are about knowing and explaining these things. They're usually scientists of some kind,
and they're used to getting answers. They're used to the explanations
they come across these things that don't make sense. And they can't possibly...
This is a deviation from that, though, because they do make sense of it. It's not something beyond them necessarily yet, to the extent they're like, they just don't know why it's occurring, I think they're like, we know that there's like a realm of people responsible.
Yeah.
We have evidence of that. Yeah. It's everywhere. They're literally just leaving it about.
Yeah.
And, they're building weird tree things, and they're just leaving them in places. And then he broke into the guy's house and just found hard evidence of it. And it's just like, okay, they found people. Mm-hmm. They just had to break the law to do it.
Right.
The good cops had to be bagged. They've never been good cops.
Yeah.
Half of them.
Yeah. I was just...
but yeah, I mean, I think I would have enjoyed hearing about that other stuff instead of seeing it.
Sure.
Or seeing a little bit of it, and not full episodes worth. Like, this is episode 1, and then I get tastes of all that other stuff that happened
later. Yeah.
In some other way, and most of which I wouldn't even call for like reshoots. That footage is great. Yeah. Like what they put together was great, but I didn't want all of it, basically.
Sure.
But that's, like I said, that's just me, and I think this appeals differently to people.
Yeah.
Than what we want from this, this podcast, because the stuff this whole podcast is based around is a super niche area of media.
Yeah.
And we're going to run out.
Yeah.
At some point. We'll figure that out when we get there. We'll die a little, but
yeah.
It's going to be a great ride until that point.
Death isn't the end, Joey.
Yeah, that's what I heard just now a little bit. So yeah, that was big thing that kind of I was feeling at the end of that, where it's just like, this episode was great, super great.
Yeah.
Odd number episode, supposed to be great. Wasn't disappointed. All the odd episodes have been great.
Yeah.
Watch this whole thing. And, you'll probably add 8 to that once I'm done watching it, but like 1, 3, 5, 7, 8. That might be. You'll pick up on all the details you missed.
Yeah.
You won't, I think. Because you picked up a lot in this episode without having to really know that. Because a lot of the moments that were like, kids upset me and this is like horrifying, or like, sure, I don't need to be informed that much more to know that people, they're moral to some extent, and would freak out in the face of horror. Yeah. But but no, let's get into the nitty gritty of all these little moments that happen, because there's a lot.
Yes, there are.
I don't know, any that stuck out to you as a second viewer, or third time viewer, or whatever time it is now?
Well, I kept waiting for one specific moment, and it's not in this episode, it's in the next one, so I can't go there.
You just been like holding your breath for it.
I forgot the sequence of events.
Yeah.
For their investigation together.
Right.
There's a couple things that I've put out of order in my head. But I don't know. Let's go with the biggest one, the one that made you audibly gasp a little bit.
I did that a few times.
You did, but like the one that I really caught was the woman that they visited.
Yeah.
And her recognition all of a sudden of
I actually thought he was going to show her the spiral at first.
Yeah.
But it paid off either way. It was great.
Yeah.
She says some like key things about, what is it, the Tuttle that they're looking for or whatever?
The extended family, maybe.
Whoever the scarred-faced guy is in relation to their family.
Yeah.
And then she basically talks about like weird relationship stuff that the family goes through, right? Like the fact that he's got like just tons of kids.
Just a lot of kids and he only likes virgins, apparently.
Yeah, like and then she starts to get upset that she's talking about it again. Yeah.
That she's like giving away information basically. You can see her like visibly sweating and like.
Yeah, the dementia is mostly that she forgets that she needs to fear these people, I think. Mm-hmm. She gets like relaxed or whatever and just like, this is just normal. I was a part of this,
Right.
And then she flashes her the little figurines made out of twigs. And she starts
babbling.
She's like hallucinating in a cold sweat in the heat about Carcosa.
Yeah, asks him, of Carcosa? And then starts telling him, rejoice, death is not the end.
Just keeps repeating it.
Yeah.
And that's basically all she says about her, right? She just keeps repeating that?
Yeah, there's another line in there that I missed the first couple of viewings that I just heard this time, but now it's already escaped me. It was a quick little something that very similar to like death is not the end, like she didn't specifically use the word spiral, but like mentioned like that a circular time.
Yeah, I remember her saying a number.
He who eats time. She's like caressing the figure. She said, "He who eats time."
Yeah, I heard her say something about eats time, and I was like, I wonder if I heard that right.
Yeah, she said, "He who eats time," and she's like caressing the picture of the figure.
What is that like? Is it like some Azathoth shit?
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know enough about Lovecraftian.
Come on,
the deities.
Read up, Joey.
No, that's what this podcast is for.
I know.
We're gonna read it on podcast one of these times.
But yeah.
No, I mean, nothing new. Like as far as information about the world has like really come out, other than that, like they're slowly finding more people who are steeped in that group and community or whatever is going on.
Yeah, well, and she is so far certainly the most fanatical.
Yeah.
Her
she
response
freaked out.
about it.
Yeah,
the other guy's like, the last guy we saw that even talked about it was the junkie,
who just knew.
He's like, I can tell you about the Yellow King. Like trying to wheel and deal, but like wasn't really fanatical about it. And the guy before that in the same episode was Ledoux himself, who was just like
killed
very
too quickly,
seriously and pleased. He's like, we've been here before, and like more knowing and excited about it. And this woman was definitely the most like like you envision true fanatics, you know, in Lovecraftian literature.
Yeah, definitely.
Like,
I was gonna say it's definitely a more personable approach as opposed to it just being like vicariously observed. It was like Rust had a volley with her, right? Like he knew the things she was saying at this point. It wasn't just like the first time he's heard this stuff. So it was like he could like he's just like let's let it keep it coming. I'm ready to write it all down.
Yeah.
But yeah, like once again, like this is mostly just payoff. It doesn't feel as good to get that now as it did when it was more mysterious.
Yeah.
Especially since they didn't drop anything like super new.
Yeah.
Like that the line about eating time is cool. So I'm excited to see where that goes. But those moments just feel more like they're in the show for vindication purposes, like for the character to be like, I told you so.
Right.
Just like the tape and like those moments where it's like Rust was right, I should be paying attention and now I'm starting to see more people who are like affected or aware of it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was cool though. It was a cool, cool scene.
Yeah.
I mean, the other gasp, I guess, since we're like qualifying my reaction to stuff via my ability to sound off at any given moment, was the reoccurring lawnmower boy.
Well, I didn't hear you at that. I was wondering if you. Like,
the moment I saw the little guy on the mower, I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Something's up.
Yeah.
And then they give him like a lot of screen time all of a sudden, and then you see up close at his face, and I'm like, uh-oh.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. My family's been here a long time.
So I don't know if I'm meant to like, if he's meant to be the red herring for the scarred guy, because he's got some kind of thing going on the side of his face, but not really where people have described.
Yeah, well,
the
Rust
injuries
keeps saying around his jaw, but Rust hasn't seen him, so we don't know if that's like.
But he's got like the burn.
He's assuming that it's everywhere, but people just say around his jaw, so we don't know if that patches it or.
But like the one guy reacted, the mechanic was like, "Oh, I'd remember," it was meant to be like really prominent.
Yeah.
And that guy didn't. It wasn't crazy prominent on that guy. Yeah. So I was like, maybe
also have
I'm
to
meant
remember,
to be seeded doubt by that. But.
Yeah. More food for thought though is like that guy that they just talked to, the mechanic, said he was like 11 at the time.
Yeah, younger.
So this is 20 plus years later.
Sure.
If there's that much scarring,
but it's still like a noticeable feature, right? Like I don't know. It's just
absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's just that it could be, obviously healing somewhat. Oh, that's 2 decades is a long time. So.
Sure.
But it's just food for thought. So.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lean you in one way or the other.
It's okay. So. I'm already leaned. It's fine. But yeah, that was nice because once again we talked about it. What was it, last episode? No. The episode before was an even number episode, so it must have been episode 5 when we talked about
I really hate that doesn't qualify.
Am I not right? It must have been episode 5 when we talked about the revisit to the school.
The school,
right?
Yes. Yep.
And we mentioned that he didn't get a lot of time to interact with Lawnmower Guy because he was like, "We gotta go, honk honk."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's it feels a little cheap that when shows do that, when they're like, "It was the lawnmower all along."
Sure.
Unmask the bad, that sort of thing, where it's just like this character that was like written to be throwaway.
Yeah.
Is actually more meaningful. It's not so bad when it's like self-contained like this is, but like usually that's the subject of a lot of retconning that goes on. They're like,
sure,
remember this guy?
Yeah.
Guys, he was important. All of a sudden, it's
right.
like, oh yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. But no, I mean, it's, there's enough. It makes enough sense. It's not, I didn't feel that way when I was first watching it. I just know that that's something that could have been a line of reasoning. But yeah, no, it's, I'm excited for that. I was really looking at that pan shot. We got another sweet pan shot.
I wondered if
and
you
I was
were...
like, I was like eyeballing everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, there's more graves. Okay, there's something here.
Yep.
I gotta uncover the truth. And then
Yeah.
and then the boat slowly comes in. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be something. And then it was just a
boat. Yep. They make you look though.
Little fuckers.
Yeah. We also had the wide
the best
panning
character.
shot coming close to the boat that they had.
Yeah, over the bayou. And
Childress in. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was I think that was just there's a word for that kind of a shot, but it's like a setup shot.
Yeah, not as is establishing.
Establishing. Yeah,
shot.
that one felt more like an establishing shot. That was just like, look at this dingy, disgusting swamp, and then this really nice boat.
Yeah.
Slowly comes into view, and you're like, oh, okay, he's that kind of guy.
Yeah, right.
He's got the yacht.
Yeah. Any theories about that dude?
Not specific, other than he's just, maybe just a part of the cultic activity or whatever's going on. He's one of the pig masked dudes,
Sure. Okay.
That's the best that I can imagine. Either that or he's just, in the pocket, right? He's just like on the payroll of these important peeps to keep this sort of stuff quiet. It was purposeful in the shots in this, or in the scenes rather, in this episode about his relationship, because he just had perfect memory of the case, and that's meant to just be a vehicle for what's his face is Marty's mistrust in him or whatever, or suspicion of him, and it felt more like a vehicle for Marty to continue to come over on Rust's side, as is the pattern in this show. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I didn't know who you were talking about before he was on screen at the golf course.
Yeah.
Who have we seen that guy before? Was he the old chief or? No, he wasn't.
He's the one that Cole slaps early on.
Cole?
Rust.
Oh.
Rust. Cole is his last
name. Oh,
name.
yeah. Just he was on the same level as them.
Yeah.
Okay. Looks a lot different.
Well, he's older now. It's 20 years later. So, and he was a little older than them at the time, I think.
He was also another throwaway character, like, to some extent, right? Like, he was like just the background
him a couple
guys.
Times, like he had a few.
He's got a lot of on-screen. He's been on camera a lot. But I didn't have his face memorized, right?
Or his name, certainly.
Yeah.
So when they drop it and they're like, guess who it was, And he's like, oh,
I was thinking of the gray-haired fox guy, the guy who's always there.
Oh.
I was like, is that his name? Because I don't remember his name. Maybe it's him showing up again.
Right.
He's still alive. Old man then. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's who I was picturing at first before I saw the guy. So I was like extra thrown off about who the fuck this new golf guy is. And his like crazy, outlandish pistol.
Yeah.
I feel like there's another moment in this episode that I was thinking of.
I mean, there's when they reveal the.
Oh yeah, the. Oh, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Well, you have something in your head, so.
Well, I was thinking of the storage.
That's where I was gonna go.
Okay. Just the space that he's crafted for himself.
Everything is in there. Yeah.
It's a lot. I think the set design on that is really top notch for a couple reasons. One, when you're approaching it, you expect it to be a little bit more crazy.
Yeah.
Like a shrine, just like a madman with yarn everywhere.
Well, and especially since the last time we saw him investigating this whole thing, he's drunk in his apartment, shining a flashlight through antlers onto his wall. Right?
Sure.
So like 20 or 10 years later, how much more crazy is it going to be?
Sure.
So,
and it wasn't crazy at all. It was like
calculated,
very much a detective's organization system, and it was nice to see, because that's the place that you want to take it as a set designer. You're like, oh, that's going to be crazy, and he's going to be,
right.
And it was,
I mean,
on the limits of like obsession, right? Like
he's painted the spiral on his door, and
it's funny because later, because you see that as Marty's watching the snuff film or whatever.
Yeah.
And you see him just kind of staring at it, but really close, like clearly just kind of letting Marty watch the video mostly.
Yeah.
But then later they have the conversation about painting.
Yes.
And he's just like, yeah, I know, but it's too late in the game to do that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You painted this a massive spiral.
I know.
On somebody else's property.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so that was nice. But yeah, the quips are all here. There's a lot of little funny moments and Marty's dialogue as usual. But yeah, the interior scene was cool. I like that, yeah.
I didn't get a really close look at it, but in the storage unit, there's a couple shots, and obviously the camera's focused on them interacting. Mm-hmm. But behind one of them, on one of the walls, there's like 3 pieces of paper that have symbols on them. One of them is like the upside down star, so the satanic pentagram, and then one of them is like I believe it's like old witch or Wiccan symbology from like the witch trials of Salem and stuff. Like, and then there's another one that to me, and I didn't get a good enough look because the camera was
glanced
too quick,
at them.
It looked like the astral star from the Cthulhu mythos. Not the Elder Sign, but there's like a star that has like multiple other stars drawn on it around it. And I thought that's what it was, but I didn't get a really good look. So.
Yeah, I didn't quite get into that scene as much as I'd like to when I was watching it. But I definitely noticed that there were those there. Yeah. But I just didn't absorb them into my brain.
I have more time to look at that stuff now because I know what the conversation's going to be. Yeah. So I was trying to glance around the room, like, see if I could pick anything
find those little secrets. There were 3 words written. Carcosa was one.
It was Yellow King, Carcosa.
And there was another one that I remember being, like, interesting for a reason. I don't remember why, but perhaps because it wasn't commonly talked about or...
Oh, man.
There were 3, though, right?
There was. Mm-hmm. Oh, no. What was that third word? I've seen it so many times. Why?
I don't know.
I can't remember it now.
It must not have been, like, huge, but, like, I did have a thought there when I saw that, because those are front and center at the top.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's the first thing you see, basically, as you walk in behind him.
I mean, the first thing I was, like, drawn to was the sketch. Yeah, the sketch again of the spaghetti monster.
Yeah.
And the antlers being mounted in the top center, or the wreath or whatever was up there. Mm-hmm. But he had it in black again, painted up there.
Yeah. I don't know. Was it black stars?
What?
The other word?
Oh, like written out, black stars? I don't remember.
I don't either.
I don't think you could say anything at me, and I'd be like, maybe. I didn't absorb it. I didn't absorb the finer details of that scene particularly well.
Yeah. What else, Joey? Anything else?
Not a whole lot crazy happened in this episode other than those moments.
Right. There's just some really good, potent moments sprinkled in through them kind of reconnecting. So
I do want to talk about, just maybe to get the bigger picture, the investigators, the interviewers.
Yes.
They're headed to the church that is like at the beginning of the story.
Yes.
Where he learns about the devil's nets or whatever they're called.
I think it's the church that was burned down.
Oh, really?
With the mural on it, yes.
Oh.
I think that's where they're going.
Because they said they were looking for a church with an African-American minister.
You're right.
Which is that whole scene.
Yes. Yeah.
So I thought it was that church.
Okay. Maybe you're right then. I forgot about that detail.
Just following up on more of the Rust story.
Yeah, everybody that he came in contact with, yeah.
Because they said it closed down in 2002, which is past the point that the burnt down church would have been.
That is true. Yep, you're right.
Yeah, so it must be that one.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm curious about that part of the story and where it falls in the timeline.
Mm-hmm. I think this is after...
Because it could be well before the events of Marty and Rust's little adventure. Because they start that adventure
definitely
immediately after the interview. The day of the interview with Marty. After Marty walks out, Rust is like following him on his way back and has the drink, and they start that whole like, you know, process.
Right, but I've always been a little fuzzy on that day specifically because it's clearly the day that Marty left. But it's not the same. I don't think it's the same day that Rust left.
No, it's not.
Okay.
I didn't get that impression.
Okay.
Maybe it is,
right.
but I didn't get that impression because Rust was in there for a full day.
Yeah. And I think that all of these other...
Also, the lighting shots between the interviews are different.
Correct.
Time of day is different. And you were mentioning the location's probably different.
I'm waffling on that now. I think that it is the same room.
Oh, okay.
So...
Just different.
They just
orientation
arranged differently in the room. So... Because they're in 3 different seating positions, I think. They're in the one where Marty's against the window.
Right.
They're in where they're on the... If you're
the door side.
The door side, and Rust is on the other, and then Maggie's
Rust's
on the door side, and so
probably the
which
same
is
room.
interesting. I wonder what the implications of that, because that's a very purposeful thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 3 points of the triangle, the different stories, right? Like,
sure. I'm wondering though if like what the significance of like Marty being bathed in light from the window, right?
Sure.
And Maggie.
Well, he's the good guy, right?
And Maggie's near the exit.
Yeah.
You know.
And Rust is just.
And Rust is cornered.
Yeah.
In the darkest.
Maybe
part
so.
Of the room.
That certainly.
Yeah.
Resonates a bit. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't come across very well.
Sure. I mean, just
but it
like
could be
everything
the
else
intention.
in this show, it's subtle,
some
right?
things are told to you, right? Like the information's there if you are connecting the pieces, but something like that is when you talk about what I brought up, where you're like, are you reading a little too far into it, or was that intentional? Mm-hmm. Could have been intentional, but I like the argument. Because Marty's supposed to be the good guy, right? Like he's bathed in light that whole interview, but then he's telling stories that are different from the memories we get to see as viewers, right?
Correct.
He's not telling about the infidelity necessarily, and he's not talking about the time that he broke into his mistress's home and, choked out some stranger.
Yeah.
He even like talks about like it's even funny moments for the viewer when he's just like, I don't drink too much, and then cuts to a scene of him drinking like a madman or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like clearly he's viewed as someone more venerated than he is. Mm-hmm. But I like that take on the interviewing scene. But timeline wise, I don't know when that.
I think it's
occurs.
It's clearly after they've, like Marty and Rust have met, right? The interviews are over.
Absolutely.
And
it could be between. I don't.
I think it's kind of during.
It's got to be
time
after,
that
right?
they're like now that Marty and Rust are kind of re-investigating everything.
Same time.
I think it's that same timeline somewhere in those few days that we've just.
They just showed us in a certain order for a different reason, right? Yeah. Like they showed that as the last scene, so we get the like, it was the lawnmower man all along, and we get that moment where we get to see him and he has like more meaningful dialogue than previously, but but that interaction between them is important to show that they're still following up on the details of the story. I was just curious because that's some of the first details of the story period, right? Like from both of the sides, from Rust and Marty. Yeah. So I was just wondering.
Yeah. I have no comment.
Very good. But that's always an interesting thing.
Yeah.
In shows and movies and stuff is the chronology of it all, when it actually happens, and whether it should be like us being like, they're starting to follow up on it, and it's a little too late because Marty and them are already doing crazy stuff. And I actually thought there would be more meaningful moments with the storage scene.
Sure.
Like they'd have a man watching the unit.
Oh, yeah.
Because they seem so concerned about what's in the unit, and Rust is like, no, you can get a fucking warrant.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's maybe a little more suspicious than it needed to be.
Right.
I figured they'd have like a guy watching it or something like that. Yeah. There would be an interaction there.
Sure.
But they just drove up to it and just walked on in.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting, I suppose.
I just haven't gotten around to that yet.
Well, they moved.
First to...
They moved a bunch of information to the PI place, so
Yeah,
it's a little more out in the open.
that's true. That is true.
I also thought there would be like more interactions with like the cops seeing them hanging out now. They're all like running around, hanging out, in broad daylight, just casually interviewing people. But yeah, I don't know. It's I'm excited for the last episode.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this to end. I'm just kidding. No, not a negative.
Answers,
not
right?
a negative. Nah, I don't want answers.
All right, questions. You want more questions?
We got questions.
I can give you more questions.
We got questions up the wazoo. No, but yeah,
right.
I enjoyed this episode, as I have said for every odd-numbered episode so far.
I hope you enjoy the last one.
Oh, that's a little worrying the way you phrased
No,
that. I'm sure.
I mean it in the sense that it's an even numbered. So based on your pattern, I hope that it breaks the trend.
It should.
I really enjoy it.
It's a finale.
So, yes. And
finale is the clause in my rule of even numbered episodes are bad episodes.
Yeah.
It's like a blanket rule that I have so far since I've only watched one show in my entire life. Which is this show. I'm just kidding. That's not true. So right now, a finale could break that rule, and it would just be a sub-clause in that rule, where unless the season ends on an even numbered episode, in which case there's a 50-50 chance that it's a good episode. And that's up to the writing and the directing. Yeah. Okay, I'm just kidding. I'm giving it a hard time. Those episodes are fine. They're good. Yeah. People like this.
Yeah. It's already several notches above average television.
Oh, well, tons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Several is maybe being very humble.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a reason it's my favorite of all time. So.
Yeah, I didn't know that until we started talking about it. And then you just casually mentioned it.
Throw that out here on the cast.
Oh, by the way.
Yeah.
This thing about me, it's pretty big.
Yeah.
Favorite show of all time.
Yeah.
Non-animated show. You had to qualify because
Yeah, that's true.
I threw some things at you there that you were like,
it may still, I don't know.
It's contender.
That's
what you're saying. But
yeah,
there's some quality.
It would be in my top 5 regardless of format. So
yeah, number 6 in your top 5.
Yes, number 5 in my top 3.
Yeah. Time. It's a fucking circle. I've been watching sort of. Oh, quick note.
Yeah.
The circle thing, I found it in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Separate from here.
All right.
Somebody referenced it.
Okay.
In like a Tumblr or a description of a picture or a meme or some nonsense.
Okay.
And it was just like I was like, I know what this is from now. That's cheeky.
Nice.
Yeah, it was just casually like, oh, time is a circle and whatever. Yeah. And I was just like, oh. That's a weird place to find this reference, but yeah.
Little do you know, I have it tattooed all over my back. No.
A number more than once. It's not just a big. It's just a bunch of little ones. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. I bet you it's not tattooed in a circle. You fucking casual.
No, it's tattooed in a chunky spiral instead.
Sure, a chunky spiral.
Yeah. Well, because it's the spirals. It's got like
gotta be legible, right?
Almost corners. Sure. So it's not quite a circle.
But additionally, speaking of circles, I've been on a binge watching mathematic videos. Okay. Videos that delve into like interesting corner case solutions to weird math problems that mathmaticians have like just run into.
Okay.
And they're like weird tiny corner cases. Like one that's maybe more obvious that you may have heard of since we're board game nerds is proof of the statistical probability of playing a game of Monopoly.
Okay, yeah.
And like the most commonly landed on places or things that are worth your investment and like what changes when you to have different player counts in the game and what your strategy should become.
Sure.
But the kinds of people who do those sorts of mathematical proofs for like books or whatever are also doing like serious ones about like shit. I don't remember what they're called now. I just watched my most recent video I watched was about like super combinations of shit. What are they called? Like permutations, super permutations.
Oh, sure.
When it's just like you have 3 things. How many different ways can you combine those 3 things into pairs?
Yeah.
And you list them out, but then you could combine all the things you just listed into like the most refined phrase of all that information. Okay. And you look at the block of numbers or letters, and you go, this is as crunched and detailed as you can make it.
Possibly make it, yeah.
Where anywhere you look, there is a permutation.
Sure.
So it's like ABC is like something of like, I don't know, 30 odd things that are listed in order. It's like A, B, A, C, A, and it's like this big list. Mm-hmm. And the problem in math is how small can we get that?
Right.
What's the lowest possible thing?
Yeah.
And the reason I was watching the video is because some random user on 4chan solved it.
Okay.
Anonymously posted something that solved it.
Oh.
And so this guy is like kind of leading that thing, and he wrote a paper where it explains it in math terms instead of the way the comment was written.
Okay.
On 4chan, and on the scientific paper, it's authored by anonymous 4chan user, comma, the guy's name, and then the other guy's name, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty great.
That's great.
But I've been watching a lot about circles. That's kind of where I'm going with this.
Okay, sure. I was like, I know there's a method here.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things about circles.
Yeah.
And pi and what it means to be an irrational number, and a lot of fun math nerd stuff that I'm sure Swifty would appreciate.
Yeah, you would.
Our buddy is way into math.
Yep.
But I keep thinking about it because I'm watching all these videos about circles and how you can solve different things just by drawing circles or studying circles or inverting circles and inverting spheres. Just wrap your head around that fucking shit. 10-dimensional sphere. Yeah, I don't know. That was a totally unrelated thought, but it's been happening between this today and last week when we recorded.
Sure.
So
cool.
It's been bubbling up.
Yeah.
Not for the same reason, but definitely makes me think about it now. But yeah, that's all I have.
All right. Well, are you ready to get to the end of the spiral? Or the beginning?
I'm ready to see if life ends.
Okay.
Or if it... What was it? What's the phrase?
Death is the beginning.
Death is... No.
Or death is not the end.
Death is not the end.
Yeah.
Oh. That reminded me of the phrase that he says that you like. You think about it all the time when I...
Oh, yeah, life isn't long enough to... Or life is barely long enough to get good at one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Miyazaki one is very... said like backwards, but basically it's just like to focus on many things is to give up on one. Is basically the gist. I don't know exactly how he says it, but it's basically that.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, that's why he's been doing the one thing his whole life.
Yeah.
Where he's just an animator who just like crafts what he does and how he does it because time is too short to not master something.
Well,
so
he clearly doesn't know that time is a flat spiral.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a circle, but that's fine. I'll write him a note in English. Hopefully it'll translate over. But
I think Mr. Miyazaki knows English pretty well at this point.
Probably. Whether he can read it is a different story. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
Why would he? Why he's like a hermit animator. Why would he know English very well?
I don't know.
He's just like, he gets in the tank and he just draws. You know.
He also directs, so he has to interact with a lot of people.
Most of them are Japanese, I imagine.
Sure, but he has relations with with Ghibli America.
Yeah, but there's always Disney. Been specifically localization teams, right?
Yeah, certainly, but like...
The same thing with Bloodborne, right? Like...
Yeah.
Not a good example, because that Miyazaki does speak a little bit of English, but like... He is not in charge of localization because...
No, not at all, I know, but...
But yeah, it's usually a thing that you're just like, all right, Disney, you take care of this.
Yeah.
Luckily, we're good enough for our pedigree to have earned yours.
Yeah.
So you'll get the good actors as you have since like fucking Nausicaa and before.
Right.
I actually don't remember which their oldest one that has some of the bigger hitters on it. But Nausicaa has like Uma Thurman in it.
Yeah.
So they've been going strong.
Moving Castle is Christian Bale.
Yeah, and, a lot of real big names in all those movies.
Yep.
Anyways, that was a weird tangent. Probably a racist tangent, not meant in that way.
Yeah, no, not meant at all.
But yeah,
cool.
Go watch episode 8.
Yep.
We're about to do that right now.
Yep.
And it's going to be fun times. I have nothing else. Anything else?
No.
You don't sound sure, but I believe you.
This episode was recorded on February 4th, 2019. Our next episode about True Detective Season 8, the big wrap-up.
Episode
Or episode 8. You're right. Did I just say season 8?
You did.
Oh, episode 8. Maybe there will be 8 seasons.
Someday.
Doubtful. But that's going to air on Saturday, January 11th, 2020.
Exactly. If you want to keep in touch with us, we have a Twitter where we will post updates to all of these releases as well as whatever else is on our minds at the time.
Yep.
We also have a YouTube channel where we also do a Let's Play show with games that fit the similar theme that all of our podcast content does. And you can find all of this content sort of aggregated on our website at thevoidstaresback.com. You can contact us directly via email, and all of those links that I've just mentioned are in the description below.
And if you can't get enough of us, we do have a Twitch channel. We like to play board games, and we do that every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time with a few other folks. We're called Cardboard on Tap. So please come check us out if that's at all interesting to you. Those folks are great people, and we have a really good time. We're really silly, and we have a lot of fun. So we'd like you to be there with us.
Absolutely. And if you have any inclination to support the channel directly, any amount of that is appreciated. But we do have a Patreon page, and for becoming a patron, you gain access to audiobooks that we'll be recording once a month for Lovecraft's written work that we will also be doing episodes in that same month about.
Yes.
So if you don't want to read that before the episode, or perhaps you're not a big fan of reading but you want to stay informed about our conversation topics during those episodes, you can become a patron, and you'll have that episode be paired with an actual audiobook performed by both of us. So it should be a good time. So if that interests you, we appreciate it. We do want to give you something back for giving us
absolutely
support. So thank you.
And thanks for listening.